Welcome to the Circle Center. I'm Dennis Walterding. I'm the Vice President of Avatar Mayor Baba's Circle of Friends. And this wonderful place, which has been in existence for 6 years, is a creation of the Circle of Friends. We've had thousands of, probably over 2,000 of individual events here. We've had big ones like plays. We've had a wedding reception. We've had many, many seminars. We've had small ones, one person talking to a camera or just a few other people about how they came to Baba. But of all the things that happens in this place, that which touches me most deeply is when we are able to honor somebody whom we love, who has died, who, God willing, has gone to Baba. And we do that today with Faith Knox. So I want to welcome you. This place is your place. If you have an idea for any kind of thing that you'd like to do here, it's the easiest thing in the world to book the Circle Center. We do not charge, ever. Everything is just donations, and there's a box back behind the food if you're so inclined. Thank you very much. And now, it is my honor. Oh, one last thing.
When I talk,
about, I think 6 months ago, Faith gave a talk here. It was a wonderful talk. It is the first time I'd ever actually heard her unburden herself and just talk about the deepest things. And she was talking about conscience. That talk is on YouTube. If you go to the Circle of Friends site, you can just search it in, or if you have trouble, get in touch with any one of us. We'll give you the URL. And you might want to hear Faith in her own words talk as a Baba lover who had matured for years and decades, and some of her deepest thoughts on the matter. I thought it was extremely valuable. And so now, I am privileged and honored to introduce Kate Brown, one of Faith Knox's daughters, who is here today.
Thank you,
Always.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. So thank you all for, thank you all for coming today to share in the honoring of the life of Faith Knox, my mother. She was also an adored mother, wife, friend, and piano teacher to so many. So I'd like to begin with a short prayer. Dear Lord, we are so grateful that you have made us all in your own image and giving us gifts and talents that which to serve you. Thank you for Faith Knox's life and all the years we shared with her. We lift her to you today, God, in honor of the good we saw in her and the love that we felt from her. Now I would like to read. My mother chose a few things that she wanted for her service, so we have to honor what she wanted. So, sorry. There's a Native American Indian prayer. O great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the winds and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. I am a man before you, one of your many children. I am small and weak. I need your strength and wisdom. Let me walk in the beauty and make my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things that you have made, my ears sharp to hear your voice, Lord. Make me wise, Lord, so that I may know the things you have taught my people, the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. I seek strength, not to be superior to my brothers, but to be able to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me ever ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eye, so when life fades as the fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame. Now, I would just like to share a few words that my mother had chosen that were written by Avatar Meher Baba, spiritual teacher. Experience of death. If you remember me at the time of dropping your body, you will become one of me, promised Baba. Lord Krishna also said the same thing to the Bhagavad Gita. I had no idea of death, and one day asked Baba, can we remember you in our last moments? Could we be in our senses to know the last moment? Baba said, you may experience the last moment of your death. One day, I was traveling by bus from Rotary to Nagar. Hardly had the bus covered 5 miles when the question, what is death, recurred to my mind. I was not well on that day. I was rather a bit unconscious and put my head on the seat in front of mine. Now I lost my body consciousness. A thought popped up in my mind, what's time? What's the time? But I could not guess, and I realized that I lost the sense of time. Then I questioned myself, where am I? I could get no answer because I lost the sense of place too. I was not aware that I was traveling. My mind began to whirl and thoughts were coming out, but no thought was complete. When one thought started, it went for a short while before it was complete, and then another started, and there were more thoughts, and suddenly all of my thoughts stopped, and there was this lonely mind. I was not aware of my body or my faculties. This is the last moment. This is my last moment. I tried to wriggle myself out of it, and slowly I came back to my senses and lifted my head. I realized I was still living. I was living again. Baba gave me the experience of that last moment. The next day when I recounted my experiences to Baba, he said, don't wait for that moment. Remember me constantly and wholeheartedly all the time, and you will not fail to remember me in your last moment, and you will surely come to me. Life does not end with death. Survival after death is as true as death after life. To live in order to die, or to die in order to survive, would be a poor proposition indeed. The death that follows life is not a lifelessness, nor a life after death, a deathlessness. Life is a positive manifestation of the true existence which negative death cannot extinguish. We are not the body, we are not the mind. We are the spirit and the soul. Okay, so those were words that she chose. And now I just wanted to say one more thing, and then we're going to switch people. Meher Baba says, neither seek death nor fear it. When death comes to you, it is a stepping stone to be converted into higher life. If death has any value, it is to teach the individual the true art of living. So, next I would like to ask Faith's husband, Jeffrey Estrin, to come up and read and pay a tribute. Jeffrey.
That was Faith's favorite picture of Mama. It was always very special to her. Let's see. Let's give you a very small snapshot in our marriage. We had a honeymoon, and we went away. And where did we go for our honeymoon? Can anyone guess?
Mayor Biden.
Huh?
Mayor Center.
No?
India. The North Pole.
No.
Pizza Hut.
Huh?
Oregon.
It wasn't Las Vegas. And it wasn't Hawaii.
Oregon.
It was Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, as a friend of mine from Charlotte said when I told him this, he said, why on earth would you go there? Well, there's a big Billy Graham memorial up there, or museum or something. And Faith was very enamored of evangelical Christianity, and of Graham in particular. And I had an interest in the man too, because as a teenager growing up, I used to listen to these preachers on the radio, and I really liked good oratory. And some of these preachers, particularly the black preachers, were really good, you know, I mean. But Graham was good too. And also, of course, with his historical connections to all the political people and presidents and personalities. So I went along too. And when we got there, we found that it was a big weekend for some kind of NASCAR race, some big race. So all the hotels were booked. But we found one. And it wasn't all that elaborate. I mean, right out, first floor, right outside the window, the freight train tracks were there, and the freight trains would come and go, and come and go. But what they did promise us was a continental breakfast, which I was looking forward to. But I don't know what continent they were talking about. What you got was some styrofoam cups, and there was a thermos of coffee, and then the coffee creamer and the sugar, and then there was a little honey bun wrapped in plastic, the kind of thing you see at a gas station. You put them on sale for 69 cents. So, but we had a good time anyway. We had a very good time. And we did go to Graham's place, and I did find it very moving, very moving. And so did she. Okay, let's see. There is a story of the Buddha, of a woman whose daughter died, and she went to the Buddha and asked him to bring the child back to life. And the Buddha said he would do this provided that she would bring him a mustard seed from any family that had not experienced death. Now, Baba was once asked, is prayer important on the spiritual path? And he answered in 6 words. He said, it is a most essential thing. So on that note, I'd like to say 2 prayers. One's a very ancient one, and you can just repeat after me out loud or silently. And it is, O God most merciful, from the unreal, lead us to the real. From the darkness, lead us to the light. From death, lead us to immortality. Amen. And just one more prayer, which happened to be the favorite prayer of General George Patton. And believe it or not, Faith had an interest in Patton. I read a whole book on him. I guess perhaps because he was a believer in reincarnation. But she had a lot of interest in worldly, famous people. But this prayer, Psalm 63, it's attributed to King David when he was in the wilderness, away from one's family. That seems appropriate for this occasion. Okay. You, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water. I have seen you in the sanctuary and beheld your power and your glory. Because your love is better than life, my lips will glorify you. I will praise you as long as I live, and in your name I will lift up my hands. I will be fully satisfied as with the richest of foods. With singing lips my mouth will praise you. On my bed I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night. Because you are my help, I sing in the shadow of your wings. I cling to you. Your right hand upholds me. The king shall rejoice in God. Everyone that sweareth by him shall glory. Amen.
Thank you, Jeffrey. That was great. I'm Faith's other daughter, Christine, from Oregon. And it's interesting that Jeffrey spoke a lot about prayer and our mother's belief in prayer. Sorry. Our mom was not only enjoyed studying different faiths, being named Faith. Religion was an interesting topic for her. She, again, was also a nurse practitioner, in addition to a piano instructor. And she was an avid reader. So our mom, being an avid reader, her most favorite book was Dear and Glorious Physician, The Diary of St. Luke. And in that book, Luke was not only one of the greatest physicians of the ancient world, he also had a great emphasis on the power of prayer and believed it was one of the most important elements of discipleship. And like Luke, our mother was a prayer warrior. She prayed every day. She had a list of friends and family she prayed for daily. She was a very loving person. She, I think, had faith long before she came to the Baba faith, or even later in her life she was baptized Catholic and studied a lot of Christian faith. But my sister's name is Catherine Hope. I'm Christine Grace, and our mother is Faith. So I thought I'd read from the Bible, Corinthians 13:13, because it's about faith, hope, and love, even though we're faith, hope, and grace. So, and now faith, hope, and love abide. These three, and the greatest of these is love. So thank you all for loving our mother. Please continue to pray for her. I know she's up there praying for us. And thank you so much for coming.
I'd like to share with you my mother's life and read a little eulogy, and then a poem, and then a psalm. And so when I asked my mother when she was sick, my sister and I just lost our father in December. He just passed away, so this is really hard, losing our mother right now. But I asked my mother, I said, tell me your life story. And this was just a couple of months ago, and she said to me without a second, she said, you are my life story. And that is the most beautiful, profound thing. I was shocked. How do you respond? But I said, well, thanks, Mom, but what's your story? No, but I must say she is mine as well. So here's her story. Faith was born in 1946 in San Francisco, California. Her mother had been working in the shipyards during World War II, the only work she could find, and she was happy to have that work after living through the Great Depression. When Faith was 4 years old, their family moved to Corvallis, Oregon, which is where we all grew up. In the 6th grade, Faith began piano lessons, and in junior high, she played the clarinet in the school band. She played piano in high school bands, and they played Bill Haley and the Comets, and they played country club Christmas parties. Faith loved the Oregon coast and spent much time there growing up with her family vacations. In 1964, Faith married Kent Brown, our father. The same year, she graduated from high school. They were married for 10 years and had 2 daughters, Christine and Catherine. In 1973, Faith got her degree in nursing from Clark Community College in Vancouver, Washington. And after living in Washington State while being married to Kent, she went back to Corvallis, Oregon after their divorce. In 1977, Faith married Dr. George Knox, a neurologist, where they met while working together at the Good Samaritan Hospital in Corvallis, Oregon. While being married to George, Faith went back to school and got her Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology from Oregon State University and her Master's of Nursing and Psychiatric Nursing from Oregon Health Science University in Portland, Oregon. By marrying George, she gained two wonderful stepsons, John Knox and young George Knox. Faith loved to travel. She went to the North Pole, the tundra. They actually drove there. She drove across the country twice. She's been to Canada and Hawaii, and she's been to India 13 times. She absolutely loved the Indian people and the culture. Faith embraced many religions, and she became a Meher Baba follower in 1985 after coming to the Meher Spiritual Center in Myrtle Beach. And in 2016, Faith was baptized Catholic. In the year 2000, my mother's husband, George, passed away, and at that time, my mother moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, to be next to me and the Meher Spiritual Center. She brought her own mother-in-law with her, who she took care of for 9 years. Faith enjoyed all the years she volunteered at the Baba Center, helping in Duruba, making teas and giving tours, playing piano for Kathy Riley concerts, seeing friends and going to meetings, and just feeling the presence at the center and the peacefulness at the center. Along with being a nurse, she did give piano lessons when she was young, and she resumed giving piano lessons in her retirement. And she taught many families in Myrtle Beach, and she loved them all dearly, and all kids just as her own. It just meant so much to her going to these people's homes and seeing them and having recitals. She loved having the recitals. While she was teaching, one of her students was named Jeffrey Estrin. Well, the Cupids must have been out, because they weren't just playing piano. They were playing some kind of magic going on, and they fell in love, and they were married in 2010. My mother and I would love going to the symphony together, and we had a lot of wonderful mother-daughter time that was so treasured, and weekly dinners and lunches and lots of phone calls and codependency. My mother also loved going back to Corvallis, Oregon every year to visit the town she grew up in and seeing her other daughter, Christine, and all of her grandchildren. My mother's favorite field of nursing was the medical surgical field. And while she was working in Corvallis, Oregon at Good Samaritan Hospital, she met a wonderful man named Doug Hare. Doug was a hospice nurse also, and at the time, or shortly after several years, he ended up caring for my mother's mother, my grandmother, and my stepfather and my mother's second husband when they were both dying. So Doug has a strong connection to our family. So Doug comes into their house one day, and he asked my mother, he says, all these pictures of this man on the wall, he says, who is this man with a big mustache? And that man, of course, was the Avatar Meher Baba. And after that, Doug soon became a nurse, I think, at the Pilgrim Center in India. My mother's favorite color is peach. She loved Indian food and Mexican food. And interesting tips of note, also that she and Doug Hare drove to the Oklahoma Center, the Heartland Center in Oklahoma, and then she drove all the rest of the way by herself across the country before cell phones. That's very brave. When my mother, she seemed very frail, but when she set out to do something, she did it. Nothing could stop her. Her favorite hobby was reading. She had a huge personal library of spiritual books, Christian books, Catholic books, Baba books, self-help psychology, and books about dogs. And she also was a fictional writer. She wrote many short stories. There's boxes and boxes of short stories that she wrote. She wasn't feeling, publishing was a dream she didn't feel ready for. And every year for about 10 years, she would have huge Thanksgiving meals and invite 10 to 12 people over for dinner. And she was a fabulous cook. She loved entertaining. In 2010, shortly after she married Jeffrey, she was diagnosed with breast cancer and skin cancer. Unfortunately, she waited until 2016 to begin treatment. She was not into medicine. She was like a Christian Scientist. She just wasn't into medicine. She was into homeopathy. But she finally did get surgery and radiation. And anyways, I pray that she learns how to have fun, and I pray that she learns to share and open up and feel loved and find happiness. Now my mother is free of pain and discomfort and suffering, and in the everlasting eternal state of bliss and love and light with God. Faith died Thursday, August 25th. I hope that she finds her happiness and God helps her in her new journey and her new destination to find the joy and love that she so rightly deserves. My mother is my friend, my best friend, the woman that gave me so much love. I will always love her, and she's also the woman that drove me crazy. And I know I drove her crazy. The woman that I can't wait to see again. I wish all blessings upon her. She's a very pure, sweet soul, and she always wanted to help other people. And I hope to see her again. I know God will take care of her, and I don't want her to worry anymore. I want her to have faith. And I believe that's why she was named Faith, so she could learn to have faith in herself. So that's my mother's tribute. Now, yes, now I just want to read something. Psalm 23. You can say it with me if you wish. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And I just want to tell my mother, thank you for giving me piano lessons. And she wants to play piano in heaven, and she said that. Okay, so now we'd like to just have a quick moment of silence, and then we have some more short personal tributes. If you could keep your tributes down to 2 minutes, and then music and the video, and then we'll open up for sharing. So just a moment of silence for Faith. This is Anne McAvoy. It's one of my mother's dearest friends.
Hi. Faith and I were good friends, and not only that, we both hailed from Oregon. I didn't hail from it directly. I spent a number of years in Atlanta after leaving Oregon to study with another spiritual teacher, but then we both came to Baba, and whoopee! We both came here in 2000, and we were lunch buddies. We used to go primarily to Logan's, where Faith would eat like a bird, and I would have a salad. And that was what we did a lot of the time. Faith wrote, in addition to short stories, she wrote at least one book, which I typed up, and was quite interesting. She was such a talented woman. She was smart and talented and beautiful. The picture shows that. It's a wonderful one. She taught herself homeopathy. The story she told me was that when she had cancer, she went, I guess, to an oncologist, and he was so nasty to her, according to her feeling, that she decided not to pursue medicine anymore to treat her cancer. This led her to homeopathy. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I benefited from that a lot. She was always rescuing me with homeopathic medicines. can't always read my own writing. She, in addition to being a lunch buddy, she was a book buddy. Faith and I exchanged books a lot. Every time she'd come over or we'd meet, she'd have a book that I hadn't read, and I'd have a book she hadn't read. So that was, we had that also. Okay. I don't want to repeat what's already been said. One of the things I found amazing about her was that she never complained. And this woman had suffered so much with her cancer and other ailments. I believe she had shingles. She had one figure amputated due to cancer. You never heard anything about it. She was just amazing. I was happy for her when she passed. She finally shed this earthly coat and went to Baba. She was very much loved and will be missed a lot. Thank you.
I don't know why I feel compelled to share this with you. I don't share this type of stuff with people. I'm a pretty private person, but the first time I kissed Faith, something happened. It was very profound. I mean, it just was a shock. I just realized that I had a very, very special person on my hands. Thank you.
This is Doug Hare.
Hi, Doug.
Hello.
Thanks, Doug.
Hello, everybody. I lived in Corvallis, Oregon, and I met Faith in the hospital that she worked at. And we were never close in those early years. In fact, I didn't really come to spend any time with Faith until her husband, George Knox, was dying. I was a hospice nurse then. And as Kate has already told you, I walked in the house and the rest is history. But her husband, George, died quickly, and Faith was stoic about that. I knew she loved him dearly, and she said she would miss him dearly, and she always has. He's a great guy, for a neurologist especially. And then I took care of Faith's mother, Kate's grandmother, Kate and Christina's grandmother. And that's when I learned that Faith was not only a wonderful human being, but she could also drive somebody crazy. I took care of her mother for the short time that she lived after she came on hospice. And Faith drove me to tears. She wanted to know, why can't we do this? Shouldn't we be doing that? Let's try this. And I've never been the same. So I came here, I forget what year, I think 2006, 2007, to live in Myrtle Beach. And one time Faith and I drove across country, at least partway across country to Prague, Oklahoma, where that's the accident site where Mayor Baba was in the accident. And it was a great trip. She and I didn't hang out a lot, but we would regularly get together, go out to lunch, make a drive to Charleston to the hospital or go to this place. So we spent a lot of time, but like Jeffrey said, I knew that this was an unusual person. And she gave me that first book. And I wasn't, back when her husband George Knox was dying, she said, here's a book about Mayor Bob if you want to read it. I had no intention of ever opening that book. I threw it on the table when I got home, but that night I opened it up, and so she is my connection with Baba, and I will always love her for that. And I don't know how many people saw Kate take care of her mother in those final weeks and months, but she missed her calling because she's a natural. And I say that with authority.
Hi, I'm Damien Triolaire, Kate's good friend, and knew Faith also separately, but then got to know her a lot better through Kate. But anyway, it's wonderful to see everyone here. What a wonderful turnout. I'm not surprised. I think it kind of shows the love for Faith and also the love for Kate and Chris. And also, I want to say that I got to talk to a few of you that came through, that were students of Faith's, and also this lovely family that are Kate's students also. So we really appreciate you all being here. And that means they have given a lot for many, many years. And it shows also the church. Some folks are here from the church, that Kate plays piano in the church. And there's some of the folks who sing there in the Catholic Church who are here. So many of the folks here are connected to Mayor Baba, but Mayor Baba was never about creating another religion. A lot of what he said was about what Jesus said, what Buddha said, what Krishna said. So it's really one. There's not really a separation. And the whole basis, like what Chris read, is the greatest of these is love. And I think that's what Faith's life was all about. Many times I would go to the Baba Center and everyone wanted to know, how is Faith doing? So the essence of Mayor Baba and the essence of Faith is love, and how do we love each other? So I guess that's all I can say, because that's the really essence of her life.
Really got to know Faith recently. When Jack's mom was passing, she came in and swooped in, regulated his medicine so that he wasn't completely unconscious when he passed over. So that was an amazing thing to watch her work. And we met again in 2019 in India, and she would say hi to me, and when she would say, "Hi, Heather," it was like there was nobody else for her. It was just me and her, and she really wanted to know how I was. She stopped everything. It was the sweetest thing, and it didn't stop throughout our whole trip. It didn't get old. So I became her caretaker via Kate. Kate asked me if I was interested, and I said yes, absolutely. And I felt a connection, but it turns out our connection went back even further to the Sahavises in Portland with Bao Sahavises, and in Seattle too. So we had lots of conversations, especially in the beginning when I took care of her, about death, about dying. And she said that she didn't want to be alone when she died. And she actually was a little bit anxious about dying, and she talked about that a lot. We talked about regrets. We talked about hard-hitting things. So one evening, when she particularly was anxious that I was getting ready to leave, I just didn't know what to do. I had to leave at that point, and so I just decided, to sing the 7 Names of God. And the 7 Names of God was a song that she and I both sang with the women mandali in the tomb, in the samadhi, so I thought it would really calm her down. So I'll sing it now. Hari Para Matama Allah Ahuramas Gada Yezadanhu Hari Para Matama Allah Ahuramas Gada Yezadanhu Hari Para Matama Allah Ahuramas Gada Yezadanhu Ahuramas Gada Yezadanhu.
Here to do some songs with Kathy Riley and Astrid. The program says the first song is His Eyes on the Sparrow. That was chosen by my mother. We actually have decided that song's going to play with the video. So we're going to go straight to Danny Boy and I'll Fly Away and Happy Trails. Anybody that wants to sing along, feel free to join us. My mother chose a really hard song, so we picked a recording for that song.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. 'Tis you, must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be there in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But if you come and all the flowers are dying, if I am dead, as dead I may well be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me, and I shall hear the salt you tread above me, and all my grave shall warmer and sweeter be. For you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I shall sleep in peace until you come to me, and I shall sleep in peace until you come to me.
And the next song is I'll Fly Away. You can join us if you want.
Some bright morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to that home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh Lordy, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away. Like a bird from these prison bars has flown, I'll fly away. Oh, I'll fly away, oh Lordy, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Oh, how glad and happy when we meet, I'll fly away. No more cold iron shackles on my feet, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh Lordy, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away in the morning to a land where joys will never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh Lordy, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. I'll fly away.
Now, if you could all join us, we're going to bid my mother happy trails. Until we see her again, until we meet again.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a happy song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. Some trails are happy ones, others are blue. It's the way you ride the trail that counts. Here's a happy one for you. So happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a happy song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
So thank you. So Thank you, Kathy and Austin.
You are good.
So now we're going to watch a short video, and then we'll have an open mic sharing, and then we'll have lovely food and fellowship. Thank you so much for being here. So a video on Faith Knox.
Thank you.
That's her mother.
Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, yes it is, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, yes it is, and I know He watches me. Oh, I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm free. Yes, His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. Yes, He does. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches. I know He watches. I know He watches me. I trust in God. Yeah, I know He cares for me. Though billows roll, my soul, He keeps my soul. My heavenly Father, watches over. He watches over me. Yes, He does. His eye is on the sparrow. I know He watches over me. My heavenly Father watches over me. Watches over me.
So now we can share. Whoever wants to share, if you can keep your sharing down to 2 minutes, I guess you can come up here and share.
So, hello everybody.
Hello, Will.
There's that dear old Faith, and this is her shirt. For some reason, she connected me to yellow and the yellow shirts that I wear at celebrative times. She'd always ask me whether it was in India or in Del Rumo, where she was in the kitchen, "Where's your yellow shirt?" She'd ask me that. And of course, sometimes I'd have it on. And I enjoyed her so much because she's a standard for me in who she was, who she is, and remains, in how grounded she was, or how grounded I found her to be. And I always celebrate that kind of person in my life. I'm so glad you're grounded in just who she was in that nature and personality. And then today I found out a little late that she's a Christian Scientist, or was, or something. I heard that today. So if I knew that, we could have talked about that. Because I was and am too. So anyway, I've missed that opportunity, but next time we see each other, we'll talk. Okay.
Is this the microphone? That was a beautiful service, you guys. Anyway, I have a few things about Kate that I'd just like to share. I moved above Jeffrey and Faith, sorry. About Faith I'd like to share. I moved above Faith and Jeffrey in February, and pretty soon I realized I was in a very difficult situation. And I think it was Marinush who said, talk to Faith. She's a psychiatric nurse, and I was going a little crazy. So on a Friday night, I went down, and she said, come on in. She was sitting there real quiet like, and I said, I just have to ask you what you think, what I should be doing. You know, this is terrible. And I've never really met anyone like Faith. I mean, and I'm older. You'd think, you know, she reminds me of somebody. She just was so grounded, as Will said, and there's this aura of peace and quiet. And I immediately felt I was in really good hands. And I told her a few things, and she said, yes, I recognize what you're saying, and you're absolutely correct about this. And that was so comforting in that. I would say probably under 10 minutes I was there, because it was nighttime, and I thought, well, she has to go to bed, and I should get going too. The other thing that I remembered about Faith was we had a flood on a Monday morning. I woke up, and our whole parking lot was flooded. And I got my rain boots on, and I went downstairs, and I think I knocked on Jeff and Faith's door, and she came out and she goes, are you flooding them? I said, no, I don't know what this is from. It turned out a pipe had broken. So I quickly got in my car and moved it to higher ground, because there was a lake forming on right by our windows, her windows. And I said, Faith, give me your keys, and I'll move your car. I've got my boots on. And she said, no, I'm going to move my own car. I said, no, I know where to go. And, you know, and I knew she maybe wasn't feeling so good at that time. I'm not even sure about that. It was April. And so she didn't get her rain boots on, but she jumped on the passenger side and over the gear shift, and off she went with the car. I said, wow. You know, I couldn't help her. She wouldn't take no for, you know, I couldn't get her to say, okay, you do it. So the other thing that I really enjoyed, it reminded me of my childhood. I took piano lessons. I didn't go very far. And I would walk under Jeff and Faith's apartment, and I would hear her teaching her students to play the piano. And it's just like, oh, what a wonderful person this is, you know. It just, and she was older, and I thought, boy, she's really giving these kids something, you know. And I just liked walking really slow by the window and listening to the piano. And the last thing I remember was there was a sign on the door that said, visiting hours from 2 to 4, just come in. And I would come in, and much of the time, I think that Faith wasn't really in the mood to see people, and I'd say, do you want to visit her? And I would stay for a few minutes. I mean, one time we had this thing with the dog with the collar, and having to get the collar off, and the dog was screaming. I didn't plan to talk about that, but that was kind of something to look back on. And the last time I went, it was I don't know, it was really a short time ago. And Faith's bed was in a different position. And, you know, I hate to put that on her, do you want to visit her, should I leave? But I kind of did that. And after a few minutes, I told her I loved her, and she started waving goodbye. And I said, well, I'm okay, you know. She should get what she wants, so I'm going to leave. And then I realized a couple days ago she was saying goodbye. I think. I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Hello, I met Faith when I drove up at my house one day, and she was there to teach my three children, music, which I just thought was so wonderful. I'd hear the piano play when I came in, and I felt so sorry for her because my kids were pretty wild. And she tamed them down pretty good. And you know, they say 2 out of 3 is not bad. 2 of them can play pretty well. 1 of them not so much. Luckily, it was the piano. They did well. But had a friend tell me the other day that when he got to heaven, when I got there, he was going to tell the Lord all the bad stuff I'd done. And I told him, I said, well, when I see the Lord, I'm going to tell him I don't know who you are. I'm sure she's not going to have any friends like I got, because she was such a sweet lady. We really appreciate it.
How much she loves Sydney, Chance, and Trace, and it's like, and you know, they're like her surrogate grandchildren. She loves all the children, all of the families. It meant so much. Anybody else want to come up and share?
Faith was such a fabulous grounding presence in all the years that we had our Mountains to the Sea choirs. And there's a number of folks I see out here who remember Faith coming to all the rehearsals. Often we rehearse at Dilruba, which was so nice to have the piano, you know, that's in the living room there. Think about Kitty and how happy she must have been when we were practicing away for our concerts. And she would, you know, came to many years of rehearsals and many years of performances, and she was always willing to accept my, it's not like that, it's like that. You know, sometimes I would get a little wild in my demands as a conductor, and she was always very helpful. And anyway, so I just really appreciate Faith. And the last thing I'd like to say is that just because of the nature of my genetic facial being, I just tend to have lots of, you know, those wrinkles that happen with time, which, and so Faith had the most incredible complexion. So one day I asked her, how will you do that? Because, you know, here she is, I guess my age, and she's just, looks like she's 15. And she said, moisturize, moisturize. So for those of you who, if there is still hope, moisturize. Thank you, Faith.
Deb Smith. It's funny because everyone keeps saying how grounded Faith is. And my experience of Faith is that she was like way out there. That she was esoteric to the nth. And once when I was living in India, and she was visiting, and I'll keep it short. Anyway, she saw that I was having a hard time. In India, you know, God can just bring up the weirdest stuff inside of you, deep, emotional, hard to deal with. And being, in the middle of the Indian continent, sometimes it's hard to find help. So she must have seen it in me, and she asked me, do you think, could you use some help? Will you want to talk or something? Yes, I really did. And between the two of us, because I'm kind of way out there also, we ended up embracing this part of me who just couldn't live anymore, who was just helpless and hopeless and didn't even want to live anymore, and blah, 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 on and on and on, you dig up this stuff. And so we came up with this idea that we were going to take her to the Samadhi, to Baba's tomb, and we were going to slip her in with Baba. And we did. All in our imaginations and the conversations that we were having, we just went into the Samadhi. Who knows how we did it, but we slipped her in there under the marble slab of Baba's tomb, and she's been in there ever since. Thank you, Faith!
My mother had a stroke May 2nd. She was fighting the cancer all along. The cancer actually came back last fall, and she did not tell us, which is really upsetting and sad. We didn't find out until she had a stroke May 2nd. Our dad was dying. He just passed away in December, and maybe that's why, but it was very painful. And the stroke, she survived quite fine. And anyways, since the stroke, the cancer came back really hard and fast with a vengeance, and we needed help. We weren't going to put her in a nursing home, so I took care of her at her condo. I asked her, do you want to go to the condo or my place? And she said the condo, and we hired Heather and Lynn to help, because I couldn't possibly do it all. And I just want to thank these women from the bottom of my heart for helping and for putting up with me, because I was a bitch. And I'm sorry, I was. It was very hard, and I wanted to be there for my mother, and I was, but I was doing everything, The shopping, the bills, the doctor appointments, taking care of her, and the house, and plus, it was a lot. Anyways, I wish I had been more compassionate with everybody and more patient, especially with my mother, but my mother was terribly impatient with me. But we know we love each other, and that's what matters, and I begged for her forgiveness, and I need to forgive myself. But I did the best I could do.
Oh my gosh, you did.
And I also want to thank my sister who was here. She came twice during that time, and when she couldn't be here, she was funding us all. So I really want to thank her for helping us get through that. And one of the mothers of some of her piano students here today, named Heather, also helped my mother tremendously in 2016 when she had her mastectomy. And I can't thank you enough, Heather, for being there, because I couldn't have done that alone. And you were so helpful. And this is a mother of one of her students, two of her students. So, anyways, everybody's been wonderful in the life of Faith Knox. Thank you for being a part of her life. And it touches me that you're here. And it's just, I'm sure she's seeing all this, and she's very touched by the whole thing. And we can keep loving her and sending prayers and learning by her example. And what I've really learned is I need to learn more compassion and empathy and patience. And I think it's very important to tell people while they're alive how much you love them. And I told her all the time, but I'm just sharing that. What I got from this is let people know you love them. Hug them every day. Tell them you love them, because you don't know when they're not going to be there. So anyways, but they always hear you. We're connected in the heart, and she's free as her glorious victory in heaven. Thank you all for being here. If anybody else wants to say something, Al, you want to say something? No.
Just waiting to bring a table out.
Al, thank you all. Thank you for all the flowers you brought over, Al. And I guess that's it. We can have food and share, and thank you so much.